I have been a silent follower of your anonymous confessions page for a while now. I've read many of the stories and watched all of the videos, and I remember this particular one about a lady who waited until marriage before getting intimate with her husband. This lady lamented that her husband was too huge down there and she couldn't take it. It's weird how everyone has their own unique problems. My situation is the exact opposite of that lady's story, and it may even sound funny to some people. I'm a 35-year-old woman who got married recently to a man I dated for about a year. Both of us had been in quite a number of relationships in our past that didn't work out until we found each other. My husband is a really good man, very loving and patient. He is also a businessman and he travels a lot to transact businesses. We met online in a Facebook group during a conversation, after which we migrated to chat in our inbox. He told me he had never been married before and he didn't have a child although he was 40 plus. He had been very busy and occupied with traveling and working that their instability had affected his previous relationships. I also opened up to him. I told him I had had a daughter, but unfortunately I lost her when she was 6 years old. He was in South Africa when we started chatting on Facebook, but he returned to Ghana 4 months later and we met up. During our first meeting in person, he proposed that we start a relationship and I accepted. Indeed, within the 2 years of our relationship, he traveled a lot and we didn't have enough time for ourselves, but I stuck with him. I also realized that anytime he returned to Ghana and I tried to initiate lovemaking, he would always find an excuse. He was either busy or said we should do it another time. According to him, we have many years ahead of us and we could take our time to get intimate. Prior to our marriage, the farthest we had gone was kissing and a little touching. Believe it or not, I never saw his joystick when we were dating. We barely had enough time for physical meetings because he was mostly away. He is also old-fashioned and he is not one to take off his clothes on video, so naughty video calls were off. But these things didn't bother me at the time. As a woman in my 30s who had had my fair share of relationships, I was looking for a good man who would give me peace of mind and stability. He was all of that and even more for me, and I was willing to be with him no matter what. He returned from a trip months ago and told me we should get married. I agreed, and in the next couple of months, we got a wedding planner, did all the requirements, bought everything we need, and got married soon after. On our wedding night, I finally got to see what was in my husband's pants, and the shock of it took me by surprise that I laughed out loud. I really didn't mean to laugh, and I regretted it instantly. It was just a reflex action. He got embarrassed after I laughed and quickly put his clothes back on. All attempts to get him back in bed failed. After dressing up, he took his car keys and left the house. His joystick is so small, it's smaller than one of my fingers. The shocking part is that he was even erect at that time, but it wasn't noticeable. He hasn't been back home since the incident, and even though I feel guilty about laughing, I also don't feel like reaching out to him. He cannot satisfy me with that, and I'm not sure he and I can stay married. Right now, my headache is how to break to the rest of the family that we intend to divorce after just getting married. Life really is hard. Everyone has their own problems.